Hi, and welcome to another weekly Wednesday Kickstarter roundup from Rule of Carnage, bringing together all the best that Kickstarter has for the tabletop miniatures gamer. And a nice mixed week this week. We've got some games projects, some physical model rewards, and some STLs. Not really good STL files on Kickstarter this week. I've stripped them right down as usual, just to the 5 that really caught my eye, but some really nice ones out there, so well worth checking over. We're going to launch straight in with some of those game campaigns, and first up for the games is Forbidden Psalm End Times Edition by Kevin Rahman. So if you've not come across Forbidden Psalm, it's essentially a miniatures skirmish narrative version of the sort of Morkborg world. So, you know, it's got a lot of style to it, a lot of a sense of place and time of a very specific world. There's a level of sort of detail and brutality to the game. Again, it's playing through the sort of grim, dying world of a very specific sort of death metal vision of things. So yeah, obviously if you are interested in Morkborg and you somehow manage to miss Forbidden Psalm, this is a great opportunity to get in on it. This campaign is a collected version, a sort of a second edition, and also a roundup and putting together of 2 different volumes of Forbidden Psalm bits, so that you'll have everything you need there sort of in one masterful edition, looking really nice. And also there's been some updating and some rewording, some clarification, so that's always good to see in a collected edition. It's not just the jamming together of a couple of books. There's been some sort of re-editing and sort of rewording to make it an actual sort of better and definitive edition. So yeah, if you enjoy certainly kit bashing, making weird, grungy, gribbly sort of beings, if you enjoy taking a warband through a thoroughly unpleasant process at the end of the world, if you like sort of narrative, campaign-driven skirmish level games, then Forbidden Psalm's a great one to check out, well worth looking into, and this is a perfect opportunity on this Kickstarter to pick it up and get started. Okay, second up for our games, we've got Grave Trigger by Cardboard Dynamo. So while Forbidden Psalm has absolutely crushed through its funding goal and is doing really splendidly for itself, this next campaign is struggling a bit to make its funding goal. It has a chance of getting there. It's not sort of a foregone conclusion it's not going to make it, but they're asking for quite a large funding total, which I think is the main reason they've not sort of got to their goal yet. So they're going to need some support if they're going to make it, and a bit more attention. So hopefully we might be able to give them a little bit of assistance. So it's a really interesting system, which is why I'm bringing up, even though I think it's going to struggle to get to its goal. And the rules are available to pick up by following a few links through from the campaign. And I'd suggest stopping by and giving those rules a look over, because they've got some fun, interesting bits going on. They've got measureless movement, very dynamic measureless movement within the system, in a way that I think is really sort of interestingly implemented, using tokens and movement and things of that nature. The system itself looks sort of genuinely quite interesting. It's got a lot of sort of unusual things going on in it, some interesting resource management, and like I say, the movement system is particularly sort of interesting, well worth checking over. I think I would strongly suggest stopping by the campaign, picking up a copy of the rules. Like I say, they're free to download, and giving this creator a follow. I assume that they're going to sort of, if they don't make it with this campaign, relaunch relatively quickly. They've got everything that they need there. They've got STLs, they've got the rules, they've got an interesting sort of IP and world and product. I think they've overshot with their funding goal, and by sort of rethinking things, I think they'll come back and probably fund next time. But they still won't make it this time, so it's well worth stopping by there, giving it a look over, giving them a back, following along, and seeing where they go with it. Okay, that is it for game campaigns. We've got a handful of physical model reward campaigns. First up of those, we've got Birdsung, The Dark Crusade by Westphalia Publishing. So this is a creator that we featured previously on the channel. I feature them because they have really lovely, interesting, sort of quite nasty and grungy, down and dirty miniatures. In fact, since we've mentioned Forbidden Psalm at the top there as a Kickstarter that's doing very well at the moment, I think these miniatures would be absolutely perfect for playing Forbidden Psalm. So if you are picking up one, you know, swing by and get the other, and you'll have a nice little set to get running with. So these particular miniatures are a set of quite sort of weird and unusual knights, sort of crusaders, and a set of peculiar and quite twisted sort of undead. There's a whole set of miniatures from this Birdsung world that are available from previous campaigns, and they're building up this world that has a very sort of dark texture to it, a really sort of unusual, grimy, unpleasant in a good way sort of look and feel. And I really love seeing each of their campaigns come up, because they keep sort of opening up extra bits of this sort of slightly odd little world that they're building. I'd love to see them come up with a rule set at some point in the future specifically for this Birdsung world that they're building, but until then they'll play brilliantly for things, as I say, like Forbidden Psalm, Turnip 28, Sludge, anything that has that sort of unpleasant, dirty feel to the world. They'll absolutely work in any, I think, sort of miniatures agnostic, fantasy, historical at a stretch sort of game set. You could totally use these guys in something like whatever, Frostgrave, but I think they just work really nicely for something like Forbidden Psalm, one of those sorts of worlds. Well worth stopping by if you like some sort of lumpy, unpleasant, grungy, broken feeling sort of miniatures, and well worth stopping by if you just like some really cool minis. Okay, next up for our physical reward campaigns, we've got Harlequins Fantasy Football Miniatures by Succubus Studio. So Fantasy Football Blood Bowl is always a popular sort of game system, game idea, and we see it pop up every so often in Kickstarter, and this is another project for a Fantasy Football Blood Bowl style team. The miniatures in this one I think are particularly interesting and fun. So they're female elves with a Harlequin sort of style look to them, referencing to a degree the 40k Harlequins, but also with their own look to them, their own feel, their own sort of sense. So yeah, I think it's a really cool, slick looking team. The models look really paintable. There's lots of options for like decent sort of flat surfaces, and if you enjoy something like painting Harlequins and you want to do some of those checks and stripes and patterns and the sort of detail that's really fun to put onto those sorts of minis, I think these sculpts are absolutely perfect for that. I think they're sort of designed for that, to be honest. Certainly if you're playing obviously an elf force, and there's a range, I think, of different elf forces that would work quite nicely with these guys. They've got a few minis that could work in sort of different roles and different places. I think well worth checking out if you're into obviously Blood Bowl, obviously Fantasy Football. If you're interested in elves and you'd like something that has a slightly different look and a slightly different feel to it while still being very distinctly elven and working with existing teams, you're looking to proxy but not proxy so far that you have to keep explaining what particular miniatures are. So yeah, well worth checking out. A nice looking team, a real sort of painters team. Yeah, look good, get onto the tabletop and play some Blood Bowl with it. Okay, last up for our physical model rewards, we've got Laser Cut Architect Isolated Outpost Collection by Daryl Henson. I'm always a big fan of any sort of terrain system where you can pack it down and store it neatly in between games. I think a lot of gamers find that terrain storage is one of the big issues with picking up a new game system or just sort of filling out the tabletop generally. Storage is often a bigger problem than anything else when picking up a new system. So this campaign is absolutely fantastic, I think. It's a set of laser cut pieces that can be put together to build out a sort of, well, an isolated outpost. A couple of buildings with some fortifications, some weaponry. So this is a sort of small outpost that's fortified or semi-fortified, that you could see being put down sort of in the middle of nowhere, and defended and occupied. So it's a perfect thing for playing scenarios through. It's absolutely excellent for storytelling and for sort of, you know, physical purposes of actually working rules around. Lots of flat roofs, lots of walls, lots of defensible positions, some actual sort of defensive guns and weaponry and things of that nature. So I think it's a really handy system. And it's a really handy set of buildings. I think it will work in any sci-fi, miniature agnostic, setting agnostic sort of system. I think it will work in a handful of, you know, other systems, but it's definitely sci-fi that it's going to work for best. I think if you are short on storage, short on time, you want a nice looking set of buildings that are going to pack straight down into, you know, a tiny space, be very resilient to wear and usage, and be super usable for scenarios, for physically playing games. I think it's a great campaign to stop by and give back to. Okay, that is it for our physical reward campaigns. Moving on to the STL file campaigns. As I said earlier, I've had to really strip them back and trim them down this week. There's a lot of great stuff out there aside from these campaigns, but these are my favourites for the week. First up, we've got Galewyn, 3D printable terrain for tabletop by Phoenix Foundry. We have featured Phoenix Foundry previously. They do, you know, some lovely terrain campaigns. I think one of the things about terrain, and one of the things I find when sort of going through the various campaigns on Kickstarter, is that things can get a bit formulaic. Certain buildings or things that feel like certain buildings can turn up again and again and again. What's great about this campaign is every one of these buildings doesn't look like anything else, but, you know, in a way that fits in perfectly to a range of settings and a range of sort of systems. So these are definitely have a strong fantasy feel to them. I would say specifically there's a sort of elven sense, but in sort of sweeping lines and smooth architecture. So I could see this being a sort of more sophisticated human settlement or something of that nature. But definitely if you're looking to give a sense of a sort of utopian elven society, I think that this is a really strong set of terrain for laying that out. One of the miniatures I think is particularly beautiful, the Sun Tree building, a sort of enormous ancient tree that has a structure winding round and threading through it. Really absolutely lovely pieces, just with a sense of place, a sense of story, a really distinctive, elegant architecture to them. So yes, if you're looking to put together a tabletop to tell a story of a sort of fantasy elven civilization that are, you know, utopian, advanced, you know, these are absolutely perfect for doing that. If you're looking for anything that just looks like a lovely place to be, you know, people that you want to learn from, these buildings will very much tell that story very smoothly and very well. Just a lovely set of pieces, a lovely set of architectures and miniatures. If you have more terrain and you want something unusual, something not like the normal run, well worth stopping in, checking out this campaign. Okay, next up for our STL file rewards, we've got WW2 Destruction Bundle by Akamaru 3D Workshop. This is a campaign, a set of STL files I think are really interesting, really useful, loads of utility in it. So it describes itself as the WW2 Destruction Bundle. I think it's a very general purpose set of markers. So if you have sort of glossed over it because you're not a historic gamer, you're not interested in World War II, come back, give it a look over, check out what's in this campaign. What it essentially is a set of effect markers. So there's explosion markers, craters, fire markers, gas clouds, smoke clouds, explosions, walls, barriers, all sorts of bits and pieces, all those little parts that you end up sort of sometimes trying to model yourself or marking with random sort of bits of paper during a game, all modelled in a really sort of dynamic, cool looking, very handy way. There's sort of different sizes. The walls, you know, alone sort of in various different heights and lengths are super handy. They're one of those pieces you're just going to end up using over and over and over and over. But I think the markers are a really good idea. They're a really lovely idea, a way of marking various effects during a battle with dynamic, sort of visually impressive ways of noting them down. No more sort of trying to, you know, whatever, note a minefield or note an explosion or note a crater with some random bit of piece. You've got something that has a real cool look to it, really feels like the tabletop is dynamic, things are really happening on it. So I'd strongly suggest stopping by this one. This is such a utility set of STLs. This is something that every single system can get some use out of. This fantasy, historic, sci-fi, post-apocalyptic, whatever you're gaming in, I guarantee these bits and pieces will turn up in one or another game and you'll get some use out of them. So yeah, this is one of those sets I think everybody with a 3D printer should consider backing, and figuring out ways to use it on their tabletop to make their notation easier to read and their tabletops look cooler and more dynamic. Strongly recommend stopping by, giving this one a look over. Okay, next up for our STL file campaigns, we've got The Creepy Village by A.R. Son. So this is a repeat creator that we have featured before. They put out terrain with a little bit of a sort of creepy sense to it. There's a sort of an idea of something a little bit haunted and unpleasant going on here. Previously they've done single buildings that have sort of little secrets and utilities and bits in them. This one is a whole village. A village with actually a walled stockade, a watchtower, and an attached dock. So this is actually just a really good village set, creepy or otherwise. Quite how creepy it is, I think, is possibly a personal feeling. To me, it looks like a sort of, you know, European village. Unlike some of their previous campaigns that have actually like hidden pieces in it, this is just a really good village that's going to fill out a tabletop and have tons of utility to it. Like I say, the stockade means you could play this for a siege setting scenario. The dock allows you to have a sort of table element to the water element to the tabletop. You don't need to use the dock if you don't want to. It is sort of separatable, so you're not tied to it. Loads of buildings, all with lots and lots of detail. This is the detail that you get from a sort of single building project, but a village worth of them. So I think if you are gaming in historic or fantasy, possibly sort of certain versions of post-apocalyptic and even sci-fi, depending on sort of the setting in the world, I strongly suggest stopping by and picking this one up. Certainly if you're looking to fill out a tabletop, if you want a strong theme to all of the buildings and you want a lot of utility for different scenarios and different settings, I think this is an excellent campaign and well worth looking into. Okay, next up for our STL file campaigns, we've got Spacebears, 3D printable wargaming warriors and cavalry by Tabletop Time. Now, interestingly, there are a couple of large STL file campaigns for Space Marine chapter style collections. This is one that I've chosen to feature. Partly because I think that these miniatures have a bit more sort of character to them, partly because the other one is doing plenty good without my help. This campaign is doing really well. It's not by any means struggling. It's crushed through its funding goal and it's well into stretch goals and things of that nature. So what this is for is a decent mass battles army-sized number of STLs of a Space Marine sort of looking collection of power armored warriors who have a theme of space bears. So, you know, maybe sort of adjacent to Space Wolves, but bear-like. Really cool sculpts in here, though, is the reason I sort of picked them out. Aside from being a solid force's worth of STLs, plenty for you to create your own Space Marine chapter on the tabletop, create your own army, have everything you need for sort of all the various bits and pieces, all the slots, all the things you might be looking for. The actual sculpts themselves are really cool, really dynamic. Some of the jump pack pieces particularly, you know, really stand out. You've got a sort of a good chance of doing some cool modelling, painting, and hobby generally with them. As I say, everything that you need for an army is in here. They've really covered all the bases, thought about the look, the sculpt, really dynamic, very characterful, really with their own sort of sense and feel to them. So if you enjoy creating your own chapters, if you enjoy creating something a bit unusual, a bit fun, a bit different, if you're looking for a good size force to get onto the tabletop, definitely check out this campaign. Okay, last up for our standard STL final reward campaigns, we've got Pirates of Bloodfang Cove by Machination Studio. This campaign is for an army's worth of some 10mm scale undead pirates, which is already a pretty cool idea right off the bat. I love 10mm scale. It gives you the opportunity to get a huge army onto a very small space, and you never have to worry about, you know, can I get the miniatures together for this unit, because they're so tiny, they're incredibly quick to paint, easy to store, easy to transport around. I think it's an excellent scale to be playing in, and I think this campaign particularly, a huge army's worth, as in like lots of different unit types, different unit styles. There's something in here from these undead pirates that will proxy in for really anything you can imagine in an undead force. Lots of imagination, lots of thought there. The half ship chariots I think are particularly cool. Lots of detail for 10mm without being sort of just larger scales crushed down. There's sort of proper 10mm sculpts, but still with some sort of paintable bits in there and some stuff where you can get a bit of detail fairly easily. Certainly if you're thinking of picking up a new fantasy mass battle system like, I don't know, Hobgoblin, that allows a bit of proxying or sort of miniatures agnosticism within your armies, this is an absolutely fantastic campaign to get onto. Get an army very, very quickly that's going to have pieces for all sorts of units, all sorts of settings, you know, you can use, and get onto tabletop quickly and game without having to take up huge amounts of storage space and huge amounts of table space. So strongly recommend stopping by and checking this one out. Okay, that's it for our standard reward campaigns. As usual, we've got a pay what you want campaign, and our pay what you want campaign for the week is The Dock, a pay what you want STL file scenery by Cosmondo. This is a repeat creator that we have featured a few times on the channel. They've previously put out sets of Lovecraftian style investigators and monsters, so I've recommended them for any sort of pulp gaming, and again those investigators are available on this campaign as add-ons and upgrades. This particular campaign is for a dock piece, a sort of a boat with a pier and some steps and all the sorts of bits and pieces you might expect from a slightly creepy, potentially grimy Lovecraftian dock, where you might have some fish people crawling out of the water and trying to get into the town or the village, and some investigators trying to stop them. I'm sure you get the idea of what the piece is sort of being suggested for, and it's a really, really cool piece for a pay what you want campaign particularly. Loads of style, loads of detail, loads of sense. This would be absolutely perfect for anybody who's into dioramas, for, you know, building out a Lovecraftian diorama, or really any diorama. I think that it's been framed within the campaign in a very dark and gloomy way, but I could totally see this being a really lovely dock, a nice place to spend your time if it was painted in a bit more sort of a brighter style. So I think this would be a great piece, as I say, for dioramas. And here's a great piece for gaming, because, you know, you've got the steps down to the water side. You've got levels, therefore you've got sort of options for moving in and out of the water using swimming rules, which we often don't get the opportunity to actually engage with. So it's a really cool piece, and for a pay what you want piece, as I say again, it's going to be great value for money. You get to choose what great value for money is in this case, and some excellent upgrades and add-ons available for anybody who's into pulp, horror adjacent narrative gaming. So definitely check this one out. A really cool file on the base level and some lovely upgrades available through. Okay, that is it for this week. A good selection of files. As I say, so many STL files out this week. I've had to, really cull them for this video. So if there isn't something in the STL file sort of section that appeals to you, well worth stopping by Kickstarter this week and giving it a bit of a check over. Other than that, if you do back any of these campaigns, if you're interested in them, please stop by the comment section. Tell me what you're interested in. Tell me what you're backing. I love knowing what people are doing with their hobby, what's catching people's eyes, what people are enjoying. While you're down there, do hit like and subscribe buttons, because I like it when you do that and it makes me happy. And then why not swing by our Discord to tell us what it is you're backing, what you're interested in, what you're looking forward to in the future. As usual, this Saturday is going to be a game design chat with myself and Mike Hutchinson. I'll be back next Wednesday with another Kickstarter roundup. For now, though, for this week and for this episode of Rule of Carnage, it's going to be a thank you and goodbye. So thank you and goodbye. Bye-bye.